Hello and thank you for watching. This is Daniel Mahabir of the Mahabir Real Estate Group, and we are bringing to you our weekly market update where one, we're going to cover the real estate market stats for the previous week, as well as two, cover some of the most important stories happening around real estate in the news over this past week. So let's begin. We'll start by going over market stats. These stats should help you understand what is happening out there in the real estate market and help you make better decisions around whether now is a good time to buy or sell a home. Now, please note, these market stats do only cover the greater Las Vegas area of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Henderson. And we do only include single-family residential properties in this report. So if you are curious about areas outside of the greater Las Vegas area or other property types like condos and townhomes, simply reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer any of those questions for you. All right, so let's start with closed sales. Last week we had 646 sales closed. That is a 26% decrease from the previous week. Now keep in mind, the previous week did include the end of the month, and typically you're going to see a lot of sales close at the end of a given month. This number is actually pretty close to where we were at this same time last year. Sales activity, it's nothing to be alarmed about right now. Next up is our median sales price, which was at $405,000 last week. That's a slight decrease from the $413,500 that we saw the previous week. Now, to state a median sales price in the 400s seems a bit crazy, but here's the deal. For as long as we are dealing with low interest rates and low inventory, we're likely to see this number increase over time. Additionally, homes are moving super fast. The median days on market for homes that closed last week was 9, meaning the homes that closed last week typically found their buyer within 9 days of listing the home on the market. So that's a super fast number, and we've seen this number go as low as 6 to 7 in some weeks this year already. The number is typically around 45 days in a balanced market. So as you can see here, and you've probably felt it if you're trying to buy a home, homes are moving extremely fast. As for buyer activity, we had 871 homes go under contract. That is a 9% increase from the previous week. Now, this is the first time in about a month that we did see buyer activity trend upwards. With interest rates taking a slight dip last week and enough time having passed for some of those fatigued buyers to be rejuvenated, we're now seeing them come back into the market and start the competition, fighting each other all over again. So good news for sellers, the buyers are back. As for seller activity, last week we had 870 new listings hit the market, which is almost the same number of listings that hit the market the previous week. Now, with that said, we are seeing week after week a slight dip in listings from this same time last year. And from our team's conversations, one thing we're understanding is that a lot of sellers are currently getting a bit concerned around if they were to sell their home, where would they move to and how would they make that happen? So let's discuss that really briefly in this week's report. Homeowners that are thinking about a move need to understand one thing first. It is possible to get everything done in a somewhat stress-free way. It's a matter of deciding first whether you'd like to find your next house and buy it, or list your property, then go house hunting once your buyer has been found on your current home. Once that decision's been made, then we need to work and make sure you know all the ways that you can make that happen. And again, a little to no hassle way. We're gonna cover this in a different video, but for now, just know that there are many ways, including things like a leaseback, to help homeowners make the move stress-free. The last statistic we'll cover is price decreases, meaning how many instances occurred where a seller had to reduce the asking price of their property in order to generate more buyer activity. Last week, we saw 383 price decreases, a 10.5% drop from the previous week. As of late, we've been seeing more and more price decreases happening on the market. Sellers were simply getting overzealous with their listing price, thinking that because the market was so aggressive, it would allow them to get whatever amount of money they wanted. And for a good amount of time this year, that was exactly the case. Now, things have been slowing down because there's more inventory and as a result, more competition coming to the market. This all started about June of this year, which has forced more and more sellers to drop their price in order to get the traffic through their door and not the competitors down the street. So with price decreases trending downwards, this should be good news for sellers. The buyers are back, inventory is remaining tight, but you do not need to be overly aggressive. If you price it right, you're likely to get the buyer's eyes on your property over your overly ambitious competition. All right, so let's now move to stories where we're going to discuss two very important announcements that have come out this past week. The first story comes from a popular real estate news website, housingwire.com. They reported that PennyMac and United Wholesale Mortgage have already raised the conforming loan limit ceiling ahead of the FHFA announcing the 2022 baseline limit. Here's what this means. The existing conforming loan limit is at $548,250,000 for most counties across the nation. The conforming loan limit tells you as a buyer the maximum value you can finance before your loan exits the conforming loan criteria and becomes a non-conforming jumbo loan. Conforming loans have a ton of benefits to them, including lower interest rates, more lenders to choose from, and more standardized guidelines in place to protect you as a buyer from poor lending practices. So if you're currently buying a higher priced home, I would say in the high 500s to low 600s, you should probably reach out to your MREG agent right away and see if we can get you in touch with a lender that can offer you the benefits of a conforming loan right away. The next story we'll discuss is also from housingwire.com. They reported just in the last couple of days that Goldman Sachs economists predict home prices will grow another 16% by the end of 2022. This is after already a 20% increase in 2021. These economists believe that the same factors that led to a rapid increase this year will again impact 2022, which includes things like low interest rates, tight housing inventory, and an increase in millennials entering the housing market. Now, I personally do believe home prices will go up. I'm not super confident in an increase of 16% simply because with buyer demand facing some negative impacts with increased interest rates on the horizon, that could slow down appreciation. But the moral of the story is this: if you're thinking about buying, waiting could cost you. And that's all we have for you. We hope you found our weekly market update useful. Should you have any questions or comments whatsoever about our market update, please do not hesitate to reach out to your MREG agent. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.